Okay, welcome to this tactical analysis of the Villa versus Brighton game. I wanted to try something a little bit different here. If you prefer this style of video, please give this video a thumbs up, consider sharing on social media, subscribing. Given how well these two teams have done, I'd love to know what you think will happen for them next season, what kind of players they're missing, etc. With that out of the way, let's get into it. So I thought it would be good to start with Villa's deep build-up in this 2-4 shape versus Brighton's 4-1-3-2, where on this occasion Ayari is the centre midfielder who's pushed higher, with McAllister staying deeper, and then you can have one of the centre-backs, typically Colwill, pushing out if McAllister is forced to push higher too. Villa tried to play it out towards this left-hand side for Digne, with Ramsey having dropped to try and entice Veltman, the right back, into tracking him, which will then create more space for Ollie Watkins to run into in a 1v1. And then we jump all the way to the 87th minute with this adjusted shape by Villa, where they've got a 2-3. This still against a 4-1-3-2 or a 4-4-2 if, in this case, Caicedo is forced into dropping by tracking here Ruiz. And then supporting Caicedo and McAllister will be Colwill tracking Buendia, who's playing a number 6 role similar to Luis. Of course, with these players higher up the pitch, it allows Martinez to be able to play that longer ball into the likes of Watkins with support from the number 6s and his wide midfielders. And we see Buendia able to capitalise on a nice ball into him, and we also get to see Colwill tracking him. And similar to how we saw in the 10th minute example, we get to see here McGinn, who's now playing at right winger, dropping, drawing out Estupiñán and creating that space far side here for Ollie Watkins to try and take advantage of. Eventually, Watkins does take advantage of that right hand side channel and absolute chaos ensues. Brighton have successfully built up in the 2-4 shape, releasing Gross, the left back, to drive centrally, creating a transitionary period from which he switches to Veltman, the other fullback. And then we get to see Brighton set up into their 3-2 midfield shape against what's meant to be a 4-4-2 shape by Villa, with the centre midfielders and centre forwards converging against McAllister and Ayari to really lock down the centre of the pitch. And as we see this play develop, we see that there's definitely potential here for counter-attacks, but also opportunity here for Brighton, where we see McAllister being able to find a position behind that press but in front of the Villa defence, and of course Villa immediately foul him to stop the attack. Unfortunately for Brighton, in their 3-2 shape, they're caught here by Villa's press, and Villa are able to counter-attack to devastating effect. Okay, so we're going to get back to counter-attacks, but I thought it would be good to finally show Brighton's deep build-up with their 2-4 shape here, this being after a couple of rapid-fire short passes to instigate Villa's press. See here also Luiz, who's pushed higher to allow Watkins to be able to press towards the centre-back and then towards the goalkeeper. Then note also the narrow positions of the wide midfielders for Villa to prevent the centre-backs or goalkeeper for Brighton being able to pass centrally into the centre-forwards at the top of Brighton's box midfield shape. Eventually a longer ball is passed into the top of Brighton's box midfield, but note that we have Mings stepping out from defence, just as Colwill's doing for Brighton, to help Camara be able to mark that box midfield. And then from there, Aston Villa are able to move into their 3-2 shape here, with Mings as the left centre-back and Digne getting ready to try and push into a left wing position, and Camara sitting with Luiz looking to try and push up to try and support build up in that left hand side, but also get into a position for a cutback from that side. Note how Ramsey's position narrow also facilitates this movement by Digne. Okay, so now we get to see that 3-2 shape. We've got Camara and Luiz. We've got Luiz who's going to want to creep his way up here to support this left hand side build up. We've got Bailey having narrowed into a second or third centre forward position here, and we've got Brighton in a 4-4-2 or a 4-4-1-1 shape, as Undav here is dropping a little bit deeper just to try and help prevent an easy pass here into Luiz. Previously, Watkins and McGinn had stayed central. On other occasions, one of them would push out to try and help that left-hand side combo. On this occasion, Villa retreat, and with Brighton's right-hand-sided defence having pushed out, creating a space between them and the right-sided centre-back, Villa look to try and take advantage of that, with Watkins running into that space, trying to get onto the end of a Mings pass. Steele was able to gather it, but then here we go again with our 4-1-3 3-2 press and our 2-4 deep build-up shape. Okay, getting back to counterattacks, we've got that 2-4 shape, although we now will have Steele push up to basically play as a third centre-back, with the other two centre-backs splitting extremely wide. With these wider positions, it makes their passes into the two centre midfielders for Brighton possible, and that makes the position by the two centre forwards here, Wendia and Watkins, untenable or redundant. And due to that, Steele is able to push quite high into this free territory. Note also on this left hand side, we can't see McGinn, who's playing at right wing now, because he's trying to help cash against the very dangerous left hand side combination for Brighton of Mitoma and Estupinian. Villa are able to successfully press here, which leads to a dangerous Villa counter-attack given how exposed the centre backs are here for Brighton. But unfortunately, Villa aren't able to capitalise. Okay, we're going to go back to the 75th minute. We've got that 2-4 shape with extremely split centre backs again, this being just after Luiz's header from an earlier free kick. We've got Brighton doing what Brighton does and passing into the central area to try and instigate Villa's press, which we saw in Luiz rushing up. But also note how with him rushing up, that leaves that passing lane here into Undao, although just off screen is Mings, who's trying to track him to help Camara. Brighton play the ball out into that left hand side, taking advantage of a slight mispositioning here by McGinn, and with some sumptuous one-touch passing by Brighton, they're able to get into their 3-2 shape, with Gross now as right back and Estupinian essentially playing as a left winger, allowing Mitoma to come inside. Brighton were forced into retreating, but that retreat creates space for passes into the likes of here Ferguson, although he's being extremely tightly marked here by Camara. Now also we can see here Mings, who was tracking Unda but trying to not be pulled too far away from his defensive line. But Brighton fortuitously and ultimately end up playing a longer ball here into Mitoma, running in behind in a 1v1. Okay, so with that, thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, please smash the like button. It goes a really long way for a small channel like this. I think about 95% of people aren't subscribed to the channel, so it'll go a really massive way if you subscribed. And with that, we're out.